Hello everybody and welcome to Nathan on Shuffle and to my latest episode of New Album Spotlight, the show where I put the spotlight on a new album in progressive rock that I've been excited about and want to share with you guys. If you have similar tastes as me, I think it's something you'll really enjoy. And I have a really special one today. This may be my favorite album of the year so far. This is MEER's Wheels Within Wheels. MEER is a group from Norway, a fantastic prog band that have some pop elements to their sound. They have a bit of an orchestral side with some beautiful string arrangements. They have an incredible brother-sister duo on vocals that do an incredible job, and they've just been killing it on the scene. Their previous album was called Playing House from 2021, and I covered it on the channel. In fact, it was my favorite album of that year. Really loved it. Maybe I was a bit premature declaring that as the best album because I think this new album is leaps and bounds a better album. I think it's just really allowed them to shine in an even brighter way, and they've improved upon their previous album in almost every conceivable way. This album has just blown me away. I think it's pretty much perfect. And if you like the kind of prog that I like, this should be right up your alley as well. Definitely has that symphonic prog backbone, but I think what makes this an expert album is how it includes great pop music sensibilities to the sounds, has some orchestral elements, has almost a bit of an indie rock flair. It feels a bit more modern and not so dated. I think they have a cool factor that lends them credence in the modern prog scene and modern indie scene. And I'm just super excited to see where they go from here, because if this is where they can go, I just can't imagine how they can take it any farther up in the stratosphere from this. And like I said, they just blend a lot of cool styles and types of music together. You could hear elements of folk, of pop, of prog, of chamber music, a little bit of like a classical or Broadway bent to some of the tracks and some of the playing. I just think it's a gorgeous album. Every track has something really interesting that grabs your ear, and it's very carefully composed and crafted by the group. The vocals are fantastic by the brother-sister duo here. We've got Johanna Margrethe Kippersund lead and backing vocals, Knut Kippersund doing lead and backing vocals and keyboards. They're both incredible in their own ways and both have moments to shine, which is really exciting. They both have some great vocal spotlights, and we've got a lot of great, this is a pretty big sprawling group with a lot of different elements to them, and you can hear it throughout the record. It's just a fantastic listen. Chains of Changes is a perfect way to start the album. It has this soft orchestral opening with sweet piano leads leading to some nice guitar lines before the band comes and kicks in. Beautiful opening that highlights these orchestral elements that the band's known for. And then as it continues along, we get some swelling strings behind shuffling drums, get those heavenly vocals coming into the forefront, which I can't express enough how beautiful the vocalists are. And their voices blend perfectly together, which makes sense as a brother-sister combo. And they trade off vocals. Sometimes they sing together. Sometimes they have their own spotlighted moments. It's just perfectly set up how they decide who sings what parts. And it's just one of my favorite elements of the band for sure. And this track in particular is cool as a prog fan because it has an instrumental section that's just a total powerhouse with big string swells and a furious pace as the band just goes off and does this really cool proggy instrumental flair before we get back into the gorgeous melodies from the song. And there's a lot of power. And I think another thing the band is really expert at is dynamics, having these kind of softer, more serene moments and then building and building and being able to have these explosive finales where they're just singing at the top of their lungs, the strings are swelling, and the drums are powerful, and it's just this big, expansive sound. And I love how they do that. It's just a magic trick that I just fall for every time that I hear it on this album. Behave is the second track, beginning with a shuffling beat and prominent bass line before we get Knut's beautiful vocals coming in. A little bit dark and mysterious in this opening, but it explodes with amazing power as Johanna adds some incredible backing vocals to the track. Just a powerful song with many swells of pure primal emotion with a big orchestral backing. We get Take Me to the River, which begins with some sweetly played piano and swells of strings before we get some wonderful dual vocals, wonderful atmosphere and kind of a dreamier quality to this track. And one of my favorite moments on the record is the ending of this track where you get this fast-paced guitar line that begins 3 minutes in and continues to repeat with this like really grooving bass line and swelling strings that continues and continues to swell and develop throughout the track and ends with this kind of heavenly church organ sound. I just think it's a beautiful track that showcases some of the best sides of the band. Come to Light is really a chance for Johanna to really shine as a vocalist. I think this is her kind of vocal spot on the record. Bit of a lighter feel to this one, a bit of a poppier side, some great piano playing and a gentler bass groove. But it's just a gorgeous track with great strings and vocal oohs and ahs as the piano plays throughout the track, and it soars just at the right moments. There's some show-stopping moments with big layered vocals towards the end, and it's just a fantastic, beautiful listen. I just completely adore this track. I think all these tracks are some of my favorite music of the year for sure. Golden Circle continues kind of the poppier feel with some swelling strings, nice groovy beats. You get the dual vocals from both siblings, and it's just joyous, catchy, and full of emotive power. They really sing once again at the top of their lungs, and it's just a beautiful, fun track to enjoy. To What In is a little bit more of a subdued track. You get some subdued guitar lines, some strings, some atmosphere surrounding Johanna's excellent vocals. It gets a bit groovier as Newt kind of comes in and takes over with a bit of a darker, driving feel to it. We get some stabbing guitar and drums with some passionate vocals, and it just has a cool vibe to it. It slinks along at a really interesting pace and brings in that energy and vibe when it needs to. Today, Tonight, Tomorrow is Newt's chance to have this like stunning vocal moment. It's a wonderful piano ballad that starts very vulnerable and fragile, but as it continues forward, it just gets more entrancing and addictive, and his vocals get more powerful and expressive, and it's just stunning when it gets to its climax and he does this big vocal moment. It's like almost a Broadway moment in Prague, just wonderfully executed, a wonderfully held note, and we get this great emotive guitar solo to accompany it with full of complexity and beauty. Just a magical moment, one of my favorite tracks on the record. I just think it's really, even though it's maybe the ballad of the record, it's just so beautiful and expressive and emotional. I can't help but fall in love with this on every angle. It's just a wonderful track. World of Wonder is a short like interlude, a bit of a breather, kind of a piano solo, but beautifully done. And we get into Mother, which allows some strings accentuating the siblings singing sweetly together, adds a beat with some great bass and guitar parts, leads to another gorgeous, memorable chorus, and building these great sumptuous melodies. Once again, just a beautiful ear candy style track. And then we get into kind of the dual finale, first coming with Something in the Water with these big orchestral sweeps, Johanna's vocals with a prominent beat behind her, great momentum, fabulous vocals, stunning sweep, orchestral moments, just great as it builds up and leads to this epic finale. Just a great track that just sounds right in their wheelhouse, and I absolutely adore it. But it gets even grander and bigger with This Is the End, which is the real final track. Great played solo piano, begins with some beat and a bit of a heavier edge as it continues. Great intense darker vibe with these stabbing strings that ramp up, and when we get to the chorus, it just really swells in intensity, and it's just amazing to behold. There's so much space explored here, so many great moments, so much of a fascinating juxtaposition between these quieter, kind of moodier moments and then these big explosive, expansive moments. I just think it's the perfect bookend to how the album started, ends with this big, fantastic, epic piece of music, and that instrumental section that kind of finishes the album is just totally beautiful. Piano melody with gorgeous strings, and it just ramps up with these vocalizations in the background into a glorious finale, and then we get kind of a reprise of their exploded chorus. It's really fantastically done and leads to a great finale. So I've just been loving this record. If it's not obvious enough, I think this is premium quality music. It's just right up there at the top of my list of some of my favorite stuff. And I know it's not like your standard classic progressive rock. It's not really in line with like your big epic Yes moments and your, Genesis style and Jethro Tull. But they do an expert thing here where they bring in pop elements but still give it the scope and grandness of progressive rock. And it allows it to be catchy and fun to listen to, but also beautiful, expressive, emotive, and stunning to behold. The majesty that's on display. I think adding these orchestral elements with the strings especially, and the dual female-male vocals, and they're both excellent technical singers, just doing things off the charts amazing. All the instrumentalists deserve to be commended for this work. It's just fantastic, and I do hope they continue to make masterpieces like this in the future, because it's really near and dear to my heart. I was actually having a tough time with some of the things that had developed in my life with the channel. I won't get into it. But I put this album on after dealing with some really tough issues, and I just immediately had an emotional outburst and had this like overwhelming transformative experience with this record. And to me, that's what all the best music does, is it worms its way inside your heart, it changes you in some fashion, and it really helps you through some difficult times and becomes a constant companion in your life. And that's what this album has done for me. It's really a meaningful one. And I know I'm probably excessive in my praise for it. You may listen and be like, yeah, it's fine. It's a pretty good record. But hopefully some of you out there will connect with it in the same way I have, because I think there's something really special here. And the band has really channeled something that I think is magical and important in the modern world of progressive rock. And I hope more bands take their cues from MEER and what they're doing here and how they're able to explore and create, but still make something that's melodically satisfying and beautiful and gorgeous. So thank you guys for joining me today. And I hope you guys have a fantastic week, and that you continue enjoying the music, and that you check this album out on Friday. It's well worth your time and attention. And I hope you guys will respond back in some fashion, letting me know how you feel about the album once you're able to hear it. So thank you guys, and I'll catch you in a future episode. Bye, everybody.